Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today, guys, we're going to be diving down into the charts for Vechain, see what's been going on most recently with the price action of VET here, and what I think is probably going to happen next with VET. So, as we get into this, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Right, with all that said, done and out of the way, let's dive right down into the charts here for Vechain. So we did have this ABC move to the upside. Obviously, this was tracking, I think, as an impulsive move that did not play out. We obviously broke down, which is fine. This then leads us into a pretty definitive move coming down here and a good bounce to the upside, right? So as we start to think about this, if we take the measurements of this move, we can see that we've actually effectively come up to approximately the 618 and got rejected from it on the bounce there, right? So this here seems to be a pretty standard area for Vechain, and you know, we've basically found this heavy resistance right on here at about 4.7 cent. This was an area that we also bounced up to previously on this side as well. Okay, we wicked above it a little bit, hitting that 618 of this entire move down, and now we're getting rejected. Now, for Vechain here, we are, of course, up in the overbought area, so we are looking for corrective action to lower the stochastic RSI back to the downside. And this is actually basically now going to be articulated as this as an A wave down, this is a B wave up, and we have our target down here. Our target comes in about 4.3 cent. Okay, so that seems to be the area, and that won't be a straight drop. I think we'll probably see inside here, you know, at least one bounce before we actually land at the bottom there. Okay, so we will be looking out for invalidations and things like that, etc. But we would be expecting an ABC move inside here to take us down. Now, of course, it's possible that also has just, you know, a 1 through 5 in there, you know, whatever wave count is required. But it seems that on the larger scale, we're likely to see this ABC play out, and we're going to hit that about 4.3 cent now. Previously, this is also an area that we were talking about potentially hitting as well. So again, this is not an uncommon area. We were looking at this a little while ago. We've got the reversal, but it seems that this now is likely to play out, and this is likely to be the area that we're going to be pulling back into. So it looks like 4.3 on the smaller time frame, right? And that should actually lower the stochastic RSI here on our hourly chart for Vechain. So we get that one nailed, moving that into the oversold area, lower the price down, accumulate more Vechain at this point, and then think about moving on up. Okay, now in terms of what else is there in this area that might be, you know, a bit of a support for us. Yeah, right in here, about 4.2 cent, there's definitely an area of support to be had here, so we'll watch out for that. So 4.3, if we do just over wicket, 4.2 should hold quite nicely. As we move up these time frames and we go up into the 4 hourly, we can see that we do need to see this a little bit corrected. We have moved up a little bit here with Vechain, so we do want to pull the 4 hourly stochastic RSI back down. This corrective move of a C wave would do that, so that would be pretty good. And the 8 hourly also needs to come down. So again, lowering the daily, the 4 hourly, and the hourly chart, you know, into this area here of oversold is exactly what we want to be doing. And again, I think that's achievable with a 4.3 cent VET token. Now, as we come up into the daily chart, again, we need a correction. Still helping this lower this down into the oversold area on the daily is something that I think is also very much needed here for Vechain. You can see the lower targets of 3.5. They're still marked up. They're not invalidated, so you know they're still possible that we do drop down into those lower ranges still. I don't think they're necessarily probable though. But when we actually take a look at the structure here, we can see that we have, you know, a pretty interesting level. We've basically moved up, we bounced down, going lower. This could be some kind of corrective pattern as well. And my concern with this is that we've moved up and then we have a larger ABC move down. And again, if I were to take this on a larger scale, such as this daily chart, and we were to move this over here, this is indicating 3.2 cent, okay? But we do know that 3.5 would be a really good area of support. So yeah, for me, that's kind of an area that we want to be kind of aware of. And we do want to invalidate any of that move, then we obviously need to move significantly higher. and we aren't there just yet. Now, obviously, that's more of a bearish outlook here, but the more bullish one would be that actually we're setting some higher lows, and we actually have this as a potential, right? With being an A wave up, this being a B wave lower, and we can now push higher with our C wave, right? After this kind of short-term corrective move that we're expecting. Now, if that were the case, and I were to say that we were hit that 4.3 cent range, then actually we're looking at a potential move up to about 6.3. There is, of course, resistance up at this high point at about 6.2. So it's possible that we actually find resistance there, just falling short of the 1-to-1 ratio, or wicking just up into that 6.3. Again, this is still lower than this point here. So what we end up with under this scenario is essentially a descending trend line here, okay, as we set the lower highs, and an ascending so we had descending one here and an ascending one this side, ultimately where we are setting these higher lows, right? So lower highs and higher lows, triangular wedge, and this could potentially have an explosive move to the upside, right? And so therefore we want to be quite cautious over being too definitive or looking too much on the smaller time frames when the daily charts are and the weekly charts are actually looking pretty good overall. So I'm going to remove that for now. I'm not going to keep any of these on the daily. I do want to kind of see how that plays out. Now the weekly chart is already heavily oversold. It's been oversold for quite some time. If we zoom on out here, you can see that the ABC correction has technically already met its minimum requirements. It just hasn't met the 1-to-1 ratio. That 1-to-1 ratio is 3.5 or 3.2 in that kind of range there. And from here, we are then looking at an explosive move upwards after this corrective pattern, right? So things are looking pretty good for Vechain. We could be looking at moving out of here pretty nicely. We just need to see this last little bit of corrective action come in so that we can get confidence back into the market and start to see Vechain steadily move out of here and go into new all-time highs. But I am confident on that, and I think Vechain's got a really bright future ahead of it. There's very few blockchains that do just as much as Vechain do in the real world, heavily integrated with absolute behemoth companies and enterprises around the world. But it is something that you're going to have to do a lot more research on if you want to understand the technology a little bit better than just the price action here. But for Vechain, it's looking pretty good on the larger time frames, but we are expecting volatility on the smaller time frames, pretty much aligned to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins that we've been talking about today. Ultimately, yeah, we are looking at volatility on the smaller time frames as the market starts to see the bottom of this correction come in, and then we are talking about heavily moving to new all-time highs long term, right? Several months down the line, and we'll be looking at some fantastic new all-time highs for Vechain, in my opinion. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you are going to be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.